The modern shipping industry is a fast-paced environment which, at times, can create hazardous situations which may lead to an emergency. The International Safety Management ISM code requires shipping companies to identify emergency shipboard situations and establish procedures to respond to them. At Northern Marine, we have a great deal of resources to call upon in case of an emergency. Shipboard staff are trained in on-scene response, and office staff are well practiced in providing support both to the vessel itself and to other interested parties. Drills and exercises are conducted following the drill matrix to ensure that skills are kept sharp. There are clearly defined procedures set out in the safety management system to assist in an emergency situation. Whatever we do, start safe, think safe, and be safe. In an emergency situation, the safety of the vessel, crew, and passengers is of utmost importance. Immediate steps should be taken to safeguard passengers, crew, cargo, the vessel, and the environment. Northern Marine has developed comprehensive plans and procedures to ensure effective handling of emergency situations. Emergency response plans and procedures can be found within the ESMS. These plans and procedures are formed as part of an emergency response management structure. The Emergency Contact Information (ECI) booklet gives useful contact details for emergency situations. Additional assistance in an emergency situation is available from Classification Society Emergency Response Services, salvage and marine firefighting organisations, medical advice, insurers, legal advisors, and media response organisations can be called upon when required. The emergency response structure is designed to ensure 24-hour worldwide coverage is available to coordinate assistance to vessels. A Northern Marine superintendent will always answer calls to the emergency response phone number. The foundation of the onboard emergency response is the vessel's muster list. This describes the role and responsibilities of every crew member in an emergency situation. It details the actions to be taken on hearing the alarm signals and also what to do in the event of a man overboard situation. Emergency drills are held on board and ashore to ensure familiarity with emergency procedures. It is important these drills are as realistic as possible in order to test staff ashore and on board effectively. Drills are scheduled according to the company drill matrix to cover a range of situations and ensure all statutory requirements are met. Drills should always finish with a debrief meeting. This should cover what went well during the drill and any lessons for improvement. Drill planning should address any points raised during previous exercise debriefs. Some vessels have approved specific response plans for trading in USA waters. These are also available within the ESMS. Particular drill requirements for vessels trading to the USA include holding 3 monthly notification exercises with a qualified individual, in this case O'Brien's Response Management. 2 of the quarterly emergency procedure exercises should involve a salvage and marine firefighting (SMFF) component, which can form part of a scheduled drill. Passenger vessels also have approved plans for search and rescue cooperation. In addition to regular emergency drills, familiarisation and refresher training is carried out regularly on board. Instructions for the use of equipment are contained in SOLAS training manuals, and all crew should familiarise themselves with their contents. A computer-based training system is also available to all crew to help deliver training in a wide variety of subjects. All seafarers complete basic training in sea survival techniques, firefighting, lifeboat and security duties. This is updated with refresher training every 5 years. Effective maintenance is a key part of emergency preparedness. Ensuring equipment is inspected, serviced and operated regularly means it can be relied upon in the event of an emergency situation. The safety officer and master on inspections should include spot checks of firefighting and life-saving equipment and installations to ensure that the maintenance is being completed correctly. Maintenance routines should be followed strictly and any defects rectified immediately. These should be reported and recorded in the planned maintenance system. The vessel's life-saving and firefighting equipment is easily targeted for scrutiny by vessel inspectors. It is therefore important that it is well looked after and ready for immediate use at all times. The actions taken in the initial minutes of an emergency are critical. All crew should know the quickest means of raising the alarm in an emergency situation. All crew have a responsibility to know the emergency alarm signals. For the officer of the watch, raising the alarm, taking immediate action to safeguard the ship and crew, and calling the master are essential actions which take priority over other actions.
Captain, officer of the watch. We have men overboard. Starboard side, men overboard.
The OOW should not hesitate in taking immediate action before the master arrives on the bridge. The master must decide as a matter of urgency whether assistance, including salvage assistance, is needed or if the situation can be handled using the ship's own resources. The importance of contacting the company and outside agencies as early as possible cannot be emphasised too strongly. In the event of further deterioration of the situation, the appropriate assistance and services will be fully alerted, enabling faster response when it is required. All officers of the watch must know the procedure to transmit distress and urgency messages, including use of the Digital Selective Call DSC feature. Initial and follow-up casualty reports are to be transmitted by the quickest available means to the responsible authorities of the nearest coastal state or Rescue Coordination Centre, RCC. The emergency response checklists, SFSAF 14, are in place to ensure that all actions for an effective response to an emergency are completed. Procedures and checklists to assist in emergency response are contained in a file on the bridge and within a specific area of the ESMS. This is found by clicking the red Emergency Response tab on the ESMS homepage. These checklists cover a number of possible emergency situations and contain a set of initial actions and a set of subsequent actions to be taken. The actions under each heading have purposely not been numbered. This is to indicate they can be taken in any order as appropriate to the scenario and conditions faced at the time. In some cases, more than one emergency procedures checklist will be required to respond to a situation. All officers of the watch should be familiar with the initial actions set out in these checklists. If your vessel is involved in an emergency situation, notification to Northern Marine must, wherever possible, be made by telephone direct to the 24-hour emergency contact telephone number. Once notification has been received, the duty superintendent will contact senior management to start a cascade response system As much information as possible should be obtained before sending this notification. The casualty report form is there to assist in obtaining the necessary information. The members of the shore-based casualty response team are trained in the most effective methods of emergency response and will mobilise all resources available to Northern Marine to assist and support the vessel during the emergency response. The risk of fire breaking out on board a ship cannot be totally eliminated. However, we can be well prepared to reduce the effects of a fire if they do occur. In the actual event of a fire, it can usually be extinguished most easily in its first few minutes. All ship's personnel should be aware of the correct method of raising the alarm and the use of the different types of fire extinguisher on board and their suitability for different types of fire. An attempt should be made, if safe, to extinguish or limit the fire by any appropriate means readily available, either using suitable portable extinguishers or by smothering the fire, as in the case of a fat or oil fire in the galley. On hearing the alarm, fire teams should muster at their designated muster stations. If necessary, emergency escape breathing devices, EEBDs, should be used to effect escape from a smoke-filled space. A command team will coordinate the emergency response. The emergency procedure checklist for firefighting should be used to assist. The emergency team leader is assigned to coordinate response on site and keep the bridge party informed of all actions. Effective firefighting demands the full cooperation of seafarers in all departments of the ship. The nominated personnel should start the fire pumps and see that full pressure is put on fire mains. Seafarers with designated firefighting duties should know how to start and operate the emergency fire pumps. The fire must be assessed to determine the class, appropriate extinguishing agent, method of attack, and how to prevent the fire spreading. A team should be designated to fight the fire, and a standby team delegated to assist as necessary, including boundary cooling and casualty treatment. Openings to the space, such as fire dampers, vents, and remote ventilation controls, should be used to reduce the supply of air to the fire. Any fuel lines feeding the fire or threatened by it should be isolated. Temperatures of adjacent compartments should be monitored and boundary cooling considered. Affected areas should also be electrically isolated. Consideration can be given to utilising fixed firefighting systems such as CO2, drenchers, foam or powder monitors where applicable. Crew members are trained in the use of breathing apparatus, dress-up and firefighting techniques. Where the decision is made to send in firefighters, they should be fully briefed and an escape route should be ensured. A BA board must be used throughout to ensure the firefighters' safety.
Bridge Alpha 1, I have 2 smoke divers ready for action.
Time in 1352.
After a fire has been extinguished, the area should be closely monitored to guard against reignition. Fire drills are conducted to ensure we are always prepared for an emergency, as per the drill matrix contained in the Emergency Contingency Manual. The locations should be changed in successive drills to give practice in differing conditions and in dealing with different types of fire. Fixed fire extinguishing installations should be tested where possible during drills. At the end of the drill, the equipment should be cleaned and verified to be in good order before it is stowed. Cylinders of self-contained breathing apparatus should be recharged, and seafarers should be trained in this procedure.